Like one time, Marin kept bugging him.
This is live, by the way. So
okay, well, Marin was bugging Rick in his sleep. I'm not even exactly sure what she was doing, but Rick just like sits up out of his bed. You know, they're in bed, and he goes, "If you touch me one more time, it's go time." And so I'm just like, I mean, it's funny because I know that sounds abusive, but with my sister, it's not. It's like he knows that they're going to just battle a totally fair battle. But anyway,
that's awesome.
Well, let's start off by saying that we're bummed that our guest today, at the last minute, wasn't allowed to leave work. And she's a female MMA fighter, and I had spent a lot of time preparing what we would talk about with her because she has a unique story, and we'll get her on later. But so Deanna Bennett, we're bummed that you couldn't make it, but we will get her on soon. So what we decided we wanted to do is we
signed you up for a cage fight as a replacement.
Yeah.
So
since we were going to have an MMA fighter,
Yep.
we decided we were going to do. We already got you signed up. You're on the next Steel Fist.
Sweet.
Ready to go?
Yeah. I mean, I'm from Reno, so I think like I'm fine.
There's
like,
no hair pulling.
That's fine.
You can do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many fights have you been in?
Oh, a number.
Have you actually been in a fight? Like in the hallways? Like, where?
Like after school. I got in like a lot of yelling matches in high school, like, and was always in like
cat fights, like
no, like screaming like in your face, but like after school, I got in a couple brawls.
Was it like clawing, scratching?
No, it was like knock the F out.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm
like
not.
You actually punched a girl in the face.
Yeah, and I've punched a lot of guys
Riven,
in the face
right?
too. Like, don't ever call me like the B word because I'll just punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Like, I can joke around and like it takes a lot to offend me, but if you legitimately call me like a B word, I'm done. Like, I'll knock you out.
Really?
Maybe not knock you out, but I have punched like a lot of guys in the face.
Really?
I was gonna say
legit, yeah.
How many times could she punch us before she knocked us out?
Yeah.
Ew. Okay, rude.
You couldn't.
You're not that tough, okay?
There's no amount of times.
I'm sorry.
Her hand would just be like a mushy blob of broken bones.
No.
Maybe there'll be an experiment one time. Yeah, I do have gloves in the front room.
Skulls.
That could be an interesting podcast.
Yes. Maybe since I said that, maybe we'll do 10 punches or something. Maybe,
I'm being serious. I can actually punch really hard.
We'll actually video you punching as hard as you want right in my face. Like, I'm not a great fighter.
I don't really want to.
One of my best assets is that it's almost impossible to knock me out.
Okay, but I don't want to like ruin your
like
pretty face or embarrass you in front of anyone.
We both have fighters' noses anyway,
nose.
So yeah.
For
my
sure.
nose is already bent and crooked, but anyway,
Sweet.
You know, I wanted to
swerve on that one again.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, look, I actually got cross-faced. I don't know, it's straight up with the camera when I was in high school, and it bent my nose. So my nose swerved.
I never would have.
Look at that. Can you see that?
I never would have noticed that if you didn't point it out. Yeah, now it's all I can look at.
I know. That's why when anyone wants to take a picture of me, I'm like, my left side is best, I promise you.
Adam would be the type of guy that has his side. Like, you always take a picture with a girl and like, no, this is my good side. Like me and my friends.
I have a good side too. It's my left side also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, come on.
See, even though I'm facing the right side,
I'm embarrassed to be with you guys
maybe
right
now.
now.
I'll just shift like
the part that's sad is that my right side is way buffer, but my left side of my face looks better.
My
so
God.
This is how vain I am.
This is a literal
these are your
problem.
poses?
When I was in junior high, I would actually get a restroom pass right before the bell so that I could go do dips.
No.
And then I would walk.
Stop it.
I would walk against the traffic so the girls could only see my right arm.
What? That is a real thing?
That's real.
That is not a real thing.
I swear that's real.
That's not a real thing.
Hey, I'm just being honest. That's true.
pretty good.
Oh my
I actually
gosh.
did do that. In fact, one time I was doing dips on the sinks. I've never admitted this in public. And
just over podcast.
Ripped right
yeah,
off the
right.
wall. So playing in junior high. No, I was like hanging on the air. And so
Adam, have you ever been tested for pathological lying?
No.
He's that.
I'm actually
in
not
high
a liar.
school.
I'm admitting some stuff.
Now that the statute of limitations on public damage is up after a few years.
No, that wouldn't be something I would admit if it wasn't true.
That's
No,
true.
I did do dips on the one hand on the door and then one on the side of the stall, and then one time I was doing dips on the sinks and I ripped one of the sinks off.
That is classic.
So, have you ever done anything like that, like before a show, or like I don't know, you're turning up somewhere and like go up and like get a pump on or something like that?
No. I actually haven't.
Turning up somewhere.
No.
So this is episode 4, right? Yeah.
Episode
Wow, look
4.
at us
Four
go.
straight weeks.
4 weeks in a row. Last week was really successful. We got a lot of
Last week
views,
was good.
and we also got a lot of people that said positive things about it. So Rick Stafford, you did a great job. We really appreciate you being on last week. He's a great brother-in-law. Knows a lot of stuff. So Ash, let's start out by asking you. You know, I know you haven't had time to prepare for this. So
great.
What's something that's happened maybe in the last month or so that you think is an interesting thing that you'd like to discuss or maybe talk about that you think would be interesting for
What's on your mind? What do you want to talk about? Like, what epiphanies have you had? Life-changing moments. What have you been thinking about?
Guys.
Okay, here I'll start off. My boys have, and I have had numerous times in my life where the goal that I set didn't happen.
Okay.
In fact, I worked really, really hard, and what I was working really, really hard for actually never came true. I never did achieve my goal. And I was thinking about that last night because my son may or may not be injured, and he may or may not be done with football for the rest of his life.
Sucks.
And I don't want to go into it too much, but I was really upset and just thinking about, why sometimes we work so hard and things don't go out, things don't go the way we planned, and whether or not it's worth it, because we always say hard work pays off. And believe it or not, I was walking at 1 o'clock last night with my dog Bean Dip, and just walking in the dark, and I'm literally, I know this sounds weird, but I was just scrolling through Instagram. So this is one time where I can say social media actually helped me with something. I came across this quote that really hit home, and it was actually on Zeus Life's page. He's that massive 6'7" bodybuilder dude that played lacrosse. And this is the quote, so let me read this. It says, "Far better it is to dare mighty things, to win glorious triumphs, even though checkered by failure, than to take rank with those poor spirits who neither enjoy much nor suffer much, because they live in the gray twilight that knows neither victory nor defeat." By Theodore Roosevelt. And for some reason, that really hit home to me, and I think how much better I feel about the hard work that I've put in and the risks that I've taken and the things that I've gone for, even though I failed, knowing that I went for it and knowing that I have no regrets because I did everything I could. I did put everything into it, and I know that that hard work will translate into a better opportunity for success in the future. And so I know that whether or not my son ever plays college football, I know for sure that the lessons that he's learned and the hard work that he's put in are going to pay off no matter what he does, whether it's, being a dentist, doctor, lawyer, businessman, better husband, better father. All of those things that he's done and all the sacrifices that he's made to be a great athlete or to be a great quarterback will pay off. and they might not necessarily pay off in the way that he had hoped, but they will pay off for sure.
Yeah, as Adam and I were, that's awesome, and that quote's amazing. You can see why Theodore Roosevelt was so popular, and I mean, it's cool how things like that hit you at right moments. And Adam and I were talking before when we found out that our guest wasn't going to be able to make it, kind of about what we could talk about or kind of themes, and we both kind of landed on this hard work pays off topic because I was telling him, I was at the gas station last week, and I was wearing my hard work pays off tank, and the guy working behind the counter said something to the effect of, I don't really think hard work does pay off, or at least it hasn't for me, And honestly, that at that particular time, I'd been working like 15-hour days, like 10 days straight, to try to help the business, try to get ready for a big event, do stuff with Riven, and I was trying to squeeze in some gym time while I was doing some family stuff. And I sat and I got in my car and I was like, does hard work pay off? Is it paying off for me? And as I kind of thought about that, just like you were saying, I thought about it that, yeah, I mean, no matter what happens, no matter what level of business that I ever get to, or any sort of personal achievement or with my family or whatever, that the hard work is worth it for me, no matter what I'm choosing to do, because of the way that it makes me feel and the level of accomplishment, how I feel, feeling like a happy, productive person. I find joy and enjoyment in trying to do that hard work. And so I think that ties in exactly as we were talking before, with Gunnar and with you. And I think we all have the mentality of let's shoot for the stars. And, if you land on top of the mountains, it's still okay. Yeah. And sometimes we do. Sometimes you do hit, everything that you're wanting to happens. And at worst, the feeling that I get and the feeling that I think you're talking about of being accomplished and doing that's really what matters and what's important.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was going to ask you, I know you've always been successful. So
no.
Okay.
No.
So give us an example. Can you relate to the idea of having worked really hard for a goal and have it not turned out exactly the way you envisioned?
Absolutely.
And how did you feel when you had a chance to reflect on the effort that you put into it? Did you feel like it was worth it? What are your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of circumstances that have happened in my life that, we can go to fitness and say you go in, you grind every day at the gym, 2 days, 2-a-days, you eat healthy, whatever, and you can see the results and that pays off and everything. But there's so much more to it than just that, because, and then you can go to life. And I was raised not wealthy by any means whatsoever. And growing up, I worked my ass off. I went to school and my parents, they couldn't afford to buy me a car.
Did you have a job in high school?
Yeah. And so, and I played sports and I had a job, and if I wanted something, I had to buy it. My dad, I kept bothering my dad about a car, and he was like, then go buy one. He's like, if you want one, go buy one. Yeah. And I was like, and I never and then growing up, I hated it. I hated it so much. I was because I hung out with all the cool kids.
You hated that you had to.
I hated that.
Have the things that your friends had.
All my friends hung out with all the cool kids, and they all had nice cars and nice clothes and everything like that. And I wanted it all so bad, and I hated that it couldn't just be handed to me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You remember actually resenting that?
Well, I remember just wanting it so bad, and I couldn't have it. It was so many things I couldn't have, but I started working when I was 14, 15 years old, and I've worked a job ever since then. And I remember just a couple months ago, I was with my dad, and I was with him, and I was like, Dad, I know that you wish you could have taken us on all these trips, and I know you wish you could have, done all these things and given us so many things. But I was honestly, I would not have been raised a different way. I'm so grateful that I was raised poor, because I'm a brat, such a brat. And if I would have been raised in money, I would not have appreciated anything. And would have been so. And so I learned a work ethic, and now I moved out when I was 19, and I didn't have any family here, and my family couldn't help me, and I had to learn how to take care of myself, and I learned at a young age, and I'm grateful for that, life-wise, because I never, and a lot of times when you're in the moment, you don't realize if you're like seriously working your ass off and like working and working and working, and you're just like, and things just keep getting thrown at you, and different bills or different trials or, you know, different medical issues or whatever, like, I don't think that people realize that like all those trials and everything are sent for a reason, and how or however, like whatever way or however way you come over those like trials, whether it is like a gratification like right then and there, or it could be like a lesson you learned literally 15 years down the road. Like 10 years ago, I worked a job and went to school and played sports, and I like hated it, and I was just like, why me? But now I'm like, thank you. Like I like can pay my own bills and do all these
So
things.
now,
and
do you like to work? I mean, do you
Too
like
much.
working hard? Like, do you
Too
feel
much.
like, because we know you work a lot. And you
oh,
work
so
hard.
much.
But do you like it? I mean, do you feel like,
Yeah.
like that's the way that you feel like accomplished? Is just to,
Yes and no. I do love to work hard, and I work too much, to the point where like,
When you say you work too much, do you think you work too much at everything that you want to do, or just like things that make money, or do you feel like you work too much when you decide you want to compete? When you say work too much, how would you apply that? What are you talking about specifically?
I work
Or in
jobs too much,
You
like
do?
money. Yeah, I work like 90 hours a week.
Okay.
So
Is that because you want more money, or just because you like working? I mean,
I
why-
like
think
working.
would
I
say-
like to stay busy, but I
Yeah.
also like, there's part of me that like
like working to
honestly,
get ahead?
yeah. And like, there's part of me also that is like I gained confidence from being able to support myself. Like that was a lot of my confidence. And like, I don't usually tell people that. Like a lot of my confidence that I have is the fact that like, I don't like, someone doesn't help me pay my bills. And so like, I think of that, and like a lot of the times, like that's how I like, why I work is so that I know, and that's like not healthy. That's not really the most healthy thing, because like everyone needs people and you all need like relationships. But like I gained a lot of confidence from like working. And so now it's like I'm just stuck in like a work
Well, you
horse.
mentioned that you want to get married. How do you feel? How do you feel like you're gonna, someday you said you'd want to get married. Do you feel like would it be something that would be hard for you to be a stay-at-home mom, or do you feel like you actually value the work you would be putting in as a mom?
I think because I hated saying it, but growing up, like people would be like, "What do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to be when you grow up?" And like like a career has never sat well with me. Like when I say it out loud, it just doesn't like sit well with me.
Yeah.
But when I say like I want to be like a stay-at-home full-time mom, like for some reason, like I try to act like a badass and I'm not. And like I really just want to be like a full-time mom, like I
Yeah.
do. And I wanted like, and I'm grateful that I've learned how to work hard, because like I feel like that hard work will go into like devoting my life to like my kids.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
so-
I mean, a good mom, I can tell you right
Yeah.
now, a good mom really does work hard.
Hard.
And it's not just, cleaning. A good mom is really attentive to their kids.
And
they
And
Everything.
it's thankless.
development.
It's so thankless
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of times,
And especially in our
Yeah.
society today, people don't really seem to value what that is, and value how much that does to make good humans. I mean, a good mom makes all the difference in whether or not a kid is going to be successful in school,
Yep.
in business, and whether or not the mom had a job or not. Her dedication to being a mom, and her
Yeah.
dedication to teaching her kids values and teaching her kids to do their homework and to be responsible. I mean, I know for a fact that my kids are so much more a result of what my wife did for them than
Yeah.
the amount of time I spent teaching them to throw a football or play catch
Yeah.
in baseball or hit a baseball or
Well,
whatever it is.
and there have been so many like life lessons that I've learned in all the different jobs that I've had that like I wouldn't have learned if I didn't. And I'm not saying you can't learn them other places, but there's been so many things that I've learned just with people, like working with people, that like I feel like I need to know to be a mom. Like, and so, but then again, it's funny because there's just so many things that like, there's been times where I've been working and it's like you get just the dumbest trials thrown at you, and just relentless where you're like, why? Like, give me a
Bills,
break.
like,
Yeah.
it seems
Give me a
as soon
break,
as you have
like-
something paid off, all of a sudden something that out of nowhere,
Yeah.
your car breaks down.
Or even like in sports, like I'm sure your son is like, that would probably be one of the most frustrating things, like being injured and stuff like that. Like you're like, why did this happen to me? Like, and like, cause it's like his career, like
Yeah.
he's looking for college and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like that's like not a light situation by any means. And so, and then other than that, like, but whether he ends up being a college football player or a businessman or whatever, like whatever he's going through right now and whatever emotions he's facing and whatever like trials he's facing, like emotionally, like getting over those things will help him somewhere down the road, like whether it ends up being a football thing or not.
Yeah, it reminds me of, Taysom Hill a little bit. I mean,
Oh,
he got to that next level. He probably could have been an NFL quarterback,
for sure.
but
And
he's
then
had
for sure an NFL.
Yeah, 3 out of 4 career, season-ending injuries to where it's a career-ending injury, basically.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because he's had the bad luck of the draw for whatever reason. But I'm sure, I'm 100% sure that guy's going to be successful in whatever
Yeah,
he does.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Even from the hard work that he's put in already, there's somebody out there that's going to value what that guy's done and known, hey, this is the type of dude that I can hire, I can build a business with, or whatever. And so I know that he's going to be okay, and I know your son, and regardless of what happens, like I know that his hard work will pay off. And I mean, to that point, the hard work pays off. I personally don't know a family that's as dedicated as your family. Like I know a
Yeah.
lot of people have any idea, like they think they have an idea, but I don't think they really know just how much hard work that you put in as a father into helping your children develop that, and how much effort they put in as well. Like I know a lot of people think they do, but I know exactly, I don't even think I know, but I know that it's way more than anybody really has an idea. So I think that it can't be overstated is what I'm saying about how important it is that it's almost everything is the effort. We've talked before when we say Riven stands for effort, it's really the only thing that any of us can control,
Yeah.
is putting in the time and effort that makes the big difference. Everything
Yeah.
else is external.
The
Yeah.
one thing I want to make sure that that I clarify for myself even is that I think it's so important that I help my kids understand and I help myself understand that I believe in putting in hard work and effort in something I'm passionate about. I don't believe in just going out and digging a hole in the ground just to
because.
prove that I'm working hard, because it's really it is hard work, but if you're passionate about it, then the hard work it's fun. It's part of the process. I can remember as a kid, working so hard to be as good as I could at football, but I loved it. I looked forward to practice. I looked forward to going to the gym. I looked forward to running sprints. I mean, I think, what's the saying that says if you find something you're passionate about, you'll never work a day in your
Yeah.
life.
Well,
And, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you aren't going to have bad days and you aren't going to have days that don't work out the way you expected. But if you're passionate about something, you're so much more willing to deal with the adversity.
Well, and like with competing, like I've done it for almost 2 years now, and I've done 3 shows, and I don't have a first place trophy.
Yeah.
And the whole reason why I started, like, I feel like so many people are not really, 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 truly 100% honest with themselves when they ask themselves, why am I doing this? What is the actual, real, raw, no BS reason on why I'm doing this? And like, for when I started competing, I started because I had quit so many sports and so many things in high school for different reasons that I looked at myself as a quitter, and I like literally felt like a quitter. And I had always lifted, I'd always been to the gym, I'd always followed the sport, and I decided to compete to get over that. And so it was easy for me to go to the gym and love what I did and everything. And even though I didn't get a first place trophy, I loved it because I was on stage and that was the accomplishment, and that's what I loved. And then it turned into more of kind of like I got so wrapped up in like the fame of it and like the Instagram followers and the Instagram likes and the like how many people know me for being a competitor, and it became that to me that like it was like I hated going to the gym. Like I hated it, and I hated being there, and because that's all that anyone knew me for. And it came to me like, oh, I'm doing this to be like famous rather than doing this to get over the real reason why I started.
Yeah.
And so when kids start things and like, or when even adults start anything, like I feel like people need to be like so honest with themselves. Like, okay, am I posting this because I want attention? Am I doing this for my family? Am I going here because so-and-so is going to be here? Am I like, in everything you do, if you don't do it for a real, true, honest, right reason, like a good, healthy reason for yourself, then the outcome of it is never going to be enough for you. And so like I had to turn it into, like I had to stop, and I stopped going to the gym after my last competition. And it was really hard because I realized to myself, I was like, I'm doing this for the wrong reason. Like this isn't why I should be doing this. And so I stopped, and then I decided that I want to do one more national show. And I decided that this show around, like it wasn't going to be about that.
So after this show, even if you don't place first or whatnot, do you feel like all of your, in that regard for the shows and the bodybuilding community, do you feel like all the hard work you put in was worth it already?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So
I don't have a first place trophy, and I was going to be done but then I decided to do a national show. And but the amount of things I've learned about myself, and the trials I went through, and the adversities I overcame, and the injuries that I overcame, and everything that I faced going through competing for the past 2 years without a first place trophy, the lessons that I've learned are way more worth any first place trophy.
Yeah.
Way more worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You know, last night after I got done with my walk, I actually stumbled across, every night I watch a documentary while I fall asleep. And the documentary...
That helps you fall asleep? A documentary.
Doesn't actually help me fall asleep, but I know I'm going to stay awake real late, so I like to actually watch documentaries because I learned something from them. And the one I watched last night is called Happy, and it was really interesting to see like the things you're talking about, you know, do things for the right reason, or you know, what actually motivates people is what makes them happy. And it talked about how once somebody's out of the poverty level, like let's say, you know, they're making $50,000 a year for their family, there is literally no difference, if not a reverse correlation, between having enough money to get by and be with your family than having hundreds of millions of dollars. There, study after study after study has shown that there is no correlation between external pleasures like cars and money and fame and happiness. And
it's never going to be enough.
Well, we've talked about that before. I mean, you've told me that I was no happier when I was really rich, like richer than you are now, than I am right now. I mean, because that's what plays into exactly what you're talking about, which makes total sense.
And that goes for, like, I have pictures of, like, me before I started competing. And I was so happy, didn't have a care in the world, whatever. And then I have pictures of me, like, shredded, like, just shredded. And I remember, like, looking at myself in the mirror and being like, I don't know if I'm going to compete. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, and there's so many, like, for girls and even guys nowadays, like, who are like, oh, if I just look like this, or if I like just lose this 10 pounds or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, if you base your happiness off of how you look, what you have, or like items, like nothing will ever be enough. Because I look back at these pictures and I think like, I'm jacked. Like I'm jacked, and I wasn't happy. Like, because I was basing everything off of like how I looked. And I look back at these pictures and I'm like, I would like kill to look like that again, and I don't. But I'm almost happier now in my own skin, like not shredded out of my mind. And because it's not about what I look like right now, it's about like other things than that. And so when you base it off of, oh, if I win this competition, or if I win this game, or if we make this amount of money this year, you'll never, ever, ever, ever be happy, ever.
So yeah, I mean, I think we're all in agreement that we feel like through hard work that pays off in ultimately happiness, right? I mean that like if you live a life centered with hard work and effort based whatever the goal is, as long as it's true to what we're trying to do, that like that's kind of like a key to happiness, I guess.
And it's
Look at us,
it's said
being
in the,
philosophers.
it's said in the documentary. So I have this new knowledge. I mean, I actually had known these
So
things.
wise.
And it's interesting that there were interviews with people like the Dalai Lama and Mother Teresa and people that really have no worldly success but are unbelievably happy, and they went through all these different cultures and found cultures that for some reason were far happier than other cultures. And they said that the number one predictor of happiness is people that do things with a motivation for someone other than themselves.
Yeah.
And so even though you might be working hard all day and you want Fresco Press and Riven and all the things that you're doing to be successful, knowing that you have your family first and knowing that you're doing those things so that you can actually spend quality time with your wife and kids, that's actually going to bring you far more happiness than any amount of money that Fresco could make or that Riven could make. And so if we do things, even if it's doing things at the gym, so that you can be someone that someone would actually want to listen to you, and you can help someone else and inspire someone else. If you have that goal in mind, hey, I want to be an example of positivity. I want to be an example to help other people be able to feel comfortable about themselves wherever they are in that fitness journey or wherever they are in their entrepreneurial journey. If we focus on others, everyone that I've ever met that is the first person to volunteer to come help move, or the first person to volunteer to, come, help you clean up your yard or whatever it is, those guys, they just seem to be the happiest. People that are looking to serve others always seem to be happy.
Well, I don't quote me on this, but I was told, and I've been told this multiple times, and that the number one ingredient in antidepressants is serotonin, which is the
I think it's dopamine. I don't know, maybe serotonin, either one.
I don't know.
I'm not gonna.
It's
I don't want someone to
it's
call me
it's
out.
the number one, and it's the
Dopamine.
chemical released
Yeah.
when you serve others.
Yeah.
Serotonin, yeah.
Yeah, it's serotonin.
Yeah, it affects those receptors, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so
No,
makes sense.
Yeah, I liked another thing that you were talking about too. That we'll have to, next time we don't have a guest and we can talk about it, is self-awareness. That's another thing that Adam and I you were talking about, kind of like being honest with yourself and the reasons why we do certain things. And I think that also helps lead into happiness and discovering why we're willing to do these things and hard work. But I'd really like to talk about that sometime too. So
Definitely.
It is really hard sometimes to be really introspective and to truly evaluate who you are as a person and what your motivations really are. Because it's so easy to naturally be selfish and want to do something for yourself and what's going to take care of me, if we're truly, animals, then we just want what's best for us. We just want to make sure we're fed and we're taken care of. But really, those aren't the things that are going to make us happy.
Well, even I think a lot of the problem too is what we think, even in those selfish moments and even in those moments where you're watching out for yourself and everything like that, there's a lot of times that we think something is going to be that thing that's going to get us fed or is going to get us happiness or whatever. And a lot of times, we're just kind of BSing ourselves and not really being real with the fact that actually is not going to help you, at all. And you just don't really want to be real and honest and raw with yourself and tell yourself that actually what I want is not actually what I need. And I think that a lot of times that, helping others and everything, and that's always going to bring you happiness. But a lot of times I don't think we're real with ourselves on what is actually going to be good for us and what we actually truly need to do to overcome whatever we're going through. So
Yeah,
agree. I'd like to talk about it a little bit more next time, or we have time at the self-awareness thing. But I think we got surprisingly more deep than we thought. And
look at us philosophers.
But
wow.
So when we talk about hard work pays off, I mean, I think now we have a pretty good canned full explanation of what we mean and what
Just
we're talking
throwing-
about.
Yeah.
We're just
Well, I like talking about it because sometimes, when you just look at something on the surface, it does seem oversimplified.
Oh, yeah.
But this has been good, and appreciate.
Hard work pays off because
it.
it ultimately leads to our happiness, I think, is kind
Yeah.
That's
of.
true. That's
look
true.
at us,
summary.
guys.
Yeah.
And so yeah,
Wow.
I like the fact that I know, Mike, that you're motivated for things bigger than yourself, and that's the thing that I think that we need to take from this is if we're motivated to do something for something beyond ourself, no matter how hard we work, it seems to have value and it does pay off. And,
Yep.
and like you're talking about, Ashley, some of the selfish things and being, too obsessed or too extreme with anything, if it's not something that you feel like you can share with a close group of friends or feel like you can be a part of something other than your own head, then it really doesn't seem to work, and it really doesn't seem to pay off. And so this is good stuff, and I appreciate talking with you guys. Do you got anything, Mike?
No, I feel nice and keep the episode nice and tight. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Got a couple meetings to run into.
Ash,
Perfect timing.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah, you
You're
bet.
Awesome. Good stuff.
You
Here,
bet.
let's do bones because I even called out before and you still gave me the
I
awkward
know.
like
Yeah.
yeah, I was on her, everybody.
Cool.
You're like the awkward Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, he just got air balls.